everybody. Raul here for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the great honor and pleasure of chatting with bassist directly from Ireland, Alex Ryan.
Hey, how are you?
So many of you may recognize Alex as being the bassist that plays with Hozier, and we'll definitely come back and talk about that a little bit, but we always like to start from the beginning. How did you get started in music and on bass?
Music, I suppose. Definitely would have started taking simple lessons in school, and kind of pursued it from there. Took some piano lessons as well and tried to kind of get a general grounding, I suppose, in discipline. And as for bass, that would have been, I suppose I should say as well, my family would have been are very musical. My father has been a musician his whole life and still is, and my mom sings, plays the piano, and is very musical. So there was always that encouragement there. And then bass specifically, my brother started pursuing the guitar. And then around the same time, it's kind of that brotherly thing of like, okay, well, I'm not going to play the guitar if you're playing it. So I guess I kind of gravitated towards the complementary instrument, which was the bass.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just kind of went from there. My dad is a bass player, so he taught me some kind of basic stuff. And then just kind of went from there, like the rest of us, just playing along to our favorite bands and stuff like that.
So you're predominantly self-taught?
As far as bass goes, yeah, I would say so. Yeah,
Okay.
I studied music in college here in Dublin, and in school, like I said. So I would be more academically taught as far as music as a whole is concerned. I suppose that's fair to say. But bass-wise, yeah, it would be, I suppose, more self-taught, yeah.
Playing along with people and progressing, how did the whole Hozier gig come up?
Yeah, it was an interesting one. So Andrew, Andrew being Hozier's first name, we met in college. We were actually in the same course in college in Dublin. And he dropped out fairly early on to kind of pursue his own work, to some demo, all that kind of stuff. And we had a few I didn't know him particularly well at the time. We had a few mutual friends maybe. And then I had been playing drums actually with a few kind of college bands, very, very small scale stuff. And he asked me to play drums with him actually initially. That was my first contribution to his band. And then, yeah, it continues to mystify me slightly as to why he approached me in the first place, I have to say, because we didn't know each other terribly well. So I guess I got lucky there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and then it just kind of, the whole thing just kind of kept growing, and Taking to Church came out and kind of blew up, and we got a proper experienced drummer in. I moved to bass eventually, and here we are, yeah.
Now, with that, you've also been involved as doing vocals and as musical director?
That's right, yeah. So the vocal stuff is his music, as I'm sure, as perhaps you know, and I'm sure many people know, has a huge vocal element to it. Across both albums, huge layers of backing vocals. It's a very, very large part of the fabric and the texture of his music. Mm-hmm. So following that, we made it a priority to have as many vocals on stage as we possibly could. So everybody on the tour we just finished up, we had an 8-piece band, and everybody had a vocal. So it's a demanding gig in that regard. And that kind of you're constantly multitasking. It's very rare that there's a song where I would just be playing bass. There's a lot of demand for vocals for sure, yeah. And then the musical director stuff is kind of, it's sort of like I kind of apply it where necessary sort of thing. It's like, because Andrew's the type of artist who doesn't necessarily always need a musical director. He knows exactly what he wants to achieve. Mm-hmm. He knows what he doesn't want, and he knows what he likes. So it's more me just kind of taking care of things if he's absent, or if he can't make a rehearsal, or if he whatever it might be, getting parts to musicians, working through lines and notes and whatever it might be. It's kind of just picking up the slack where necessary. Just the way I kind of see it. But it's been great. Yeah, it's been fantastic.
Very cool. Most recent, Wasteland Baby was the most recent release.
Yeah, that came out March. I believe it was March 1st last year, 2019. Mm-hmm. So about a year ago. And yeah, we finished up tour for that album in December, just in December just gone. We finished up with 2 shows in Dublin actually, which was a nice way to close it out. So we were on the road we started rehearsals the 1st of August 2018, I believe. Yeah. So we were. It was a lot. It was about 16 months or so.
Wow.
Of working, so it was a long slog. Yeah.
I would have to ask because, of course, your gear is what gives you your unique sound. And, of course, my attention is drawn to the space behind you. Tell us how you're getting your sound. What gear are you playing on?
Absolutely. Well, I should say it's actually pronounced Schold.
Schold, okay.
Schold, yeah. And these are made by Pete Schold,
Mm-hmm.
who's based in Ohio, in the States. This took me through the whole tour actually. This one, I think there was a couple of times where we had to split gear. I think when we were in Australia where I used a different bass, but this one was the go-to as much as possible. And it's a beautiful piece. It's a marble wood top, 3-piece maple necks. They're just it's a swamp ash body as well. It's just the smoothest feeling bass I've ever played. The neck is just like playing on silk. It's so very smooth. It's hugely versatile as well. It's got a preamp for active options. I tend to play it mostly passively actually, but it has that option. And it's just it's great. I've got it strung up with some half wounds actually, which were kind of new to me until I've been mostly using rounds and flats occasionally. But the halves are just a lovely balance because they give you a bit more of the attack that the flats offer, a bit more kind of funkiness, but they allow for a little more sustain as well, a little more resonance. And there's a lot of versatility required on the Hozier set, where you sometimes you just need to be kind of low and fat and long, and sometimes you need to be a bit more kind of P-bassy, I suppose. So we did our best to kind of bounce that out best we could. So that's the bass, and then I played DK Gavin Kruger, who I've been endorsing for a good few years now. But, fantastic gear, never ever let us down. And just really thrilled to be working with those guys. And that's kind of it. Pedals wise, it would be very simple. I have a couple of dark glass pedals. Again, fantastic company. Really love their stuff. And there's a Duality Fuzz and a B7K Ultra preamp and a tuner, and that's it. Just for some little tweaking here and there. But it's a relatively simple setup, and but it works well.
Drilling down a little bit to specifics, what brand of half wounds are you playing with?
They're the Darios.
Okay.
Actually, yeah. Which are real nice. I think the gauge is kind of a medium gauge. I think it's 125 to 45, I believe. So yeah, nothing too crazy, not too thin, not too thick.
Got you. And I also noticed that the pickup array is built in with kind of a ramp setup.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So this is something that Pete. I'm sure. I know there are some other. I think I've seen something similar on some other basses for sure, but this is kind of Pete's own design as far as I know. There's two humbuckers in here, and the ramp is it's kind of curved to match the arc with the strings and the arc with the board, so it's totally kind of consistent going down, and it just gives you a lovely playing surface, even playing surface. I play a lot with kind of a palm muting kind of style, so it really helps that as well.
Gotcha.
So you're flipping too far in, everything's just even. But that's something that I was not familiar with until trying it on this bass. But it's something I wouldn't be doing without, I have to say.
Once you've tried it, right? Well, the ramps are a whole other topic of its own, because there's been some major players like Gary Willis and people that were involved in kind of the early stages of putting ramps on basses. They lend themselves to styles. If you are slapping and popping a lot, maybe you don't want it because you can't get under the strings as much.
Yes, certainly, yeah. I wouldn't be a huge slapper myself, but definitely. I feel like the ramps really assist certain styles of playing, and I think for finger styles, I mean, unless you're playing like real heavy music and you really need to get in there and get a lot of snap and attack out of the strings. It's just a lovely way of sort of naturally compressing your playing, where you can only dig in so much, and just kind of evens out the playing a little bit.
And looking ahead, I know as we're talking, it's staying at home for most part. But what plans are there in the future, both either with yourself or with Hozier?
Yeah, well, I guess the Hozier plans are sort of, as you say, pretty up in the air. Like I'm sure every musician's plans are. I'm sure there'll be more recording at some stage relatively soon, depending on the virus, and I'm sure there'll be more touring. Just a case of when. I know next year is looking a little choppy, I suppose, but it's just so hard to know. You know, I'm sure it'll go something like maybe some more recording, and then followed by another album, something like that. And then aside from that, I guess there's nothing huge on the horizon, I suppose. I try to kind of stay busy. I do a little bit of production work, I suppose, here and there. I write some music with my brother as well, which we're going to be doing a bit more of that soon. And just kind of little things, you know, just trying to stay busy and stay productive. So it's a hard one to say for sure. It's a hard one to call, but yeah, just trying to stay busy and keep working in some capacity.
If people want to know where to look to find out what's going on, Hozier.com for Hozier stuff, and for your stuff on Instagram?
Yeah, I think Instagram is probably the best bet. I'm Ajax. That's AJAX _ Ryan would be my personal account. That's probably the best place to go. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I would be remiss. I have one last question, and it's because I see it behind you. You have a collection of creatures of some sort.
I do. I sure do. Yeah, it's a bit like a sort of a child's living room. If you can see the whole thing, there's lots of those sort of things. But it's very, very immaculately arranged, like a very fancy child, you know.
Yes.
Lots of anime and manga stuff. We're pretty into that here. So.
Excellent. Well, you're not the only. If you ever cross paths with Bubby Lewis.
Yes. I'm aware that he's massively
huge. The only other topic other than he's a big fan of meat, but anime. Anything you ask him, he's like seen it all. So.
Yeah, I'd love to chat with him about it. That'd be great. Yeah.
There you go.
Hopefully we get to fan at some stage as well. That would be
well, Alex, thank you so much for taking time to have us visiting with you in your home. Folks,
right.
I know they're kind of quiet times right now, but it's always great to be chatting with our bass brothers and sisters around the world. Thanks to Skype, we can still do this. You've seen him here, Alex Ryan, coming to you live on Bass Musician Magazine.
Thanks, Raul. Cheers, guys. Stay safe. Thank you.